What we're looking at here is the idea of correlation. So correlation will tell us if there's a connection between sets of data or values. Now it's very important to stress that correlation is not causation. So we cannot kind of accurately infer that just because we find a correlation between two sets of data that one causes the other. It simply tells us if there's a connection or some kind of relationship between the data. So the example that we have here is some monthly average temperatures. And we can look at the idea of ice cream sales and ask the question, is there a correlation between an increase or change in average temperatures and ice cream sales? Does that also change as the temperature increases or decreases? So if we were to calculate our correlation, it comes back as a value of 0.96. So 0.96 is a very high correlation value. If we look at the values below, we can see that 1 is the maximum. That's a perfect positive correlation. A high positive correlation is around about 0.9. So we've fallen somewhere between a perfect positive correlation and a high positive correlation. So we can infer that there is a correlation or relationship between the data. So these values can change the whole way down to 0, where we see a scatter like this where there's no correlation, all the way down to -1 where there's a perfect negative correlation. So if we were to generate a graph of our data, it would look like this. And that does look like a perfect, somewhere between a perfect positive correlation and a high positive correlation. So if we want to work out these values, if we have a look at our example again here, we can work out a correlation value very quickly. So if we select function and then into all, the name of my function is correl. So it asks for two arrays. An array is a list of numbers. So my first array is my average temperatures, and my second array is my ice cream sales. So if I hit OK, it gives me back my value of 0.96. So now I can generate a graph of the two. So I highlight all my data, my sales and my temperatures, and I insert a scatter graph. So I'm going to select the first one and just move it up here. So once we have our graph generated, we can change around its appearance. So we can very quickly insert a line, for example, by going to quick layout and selecting this third layout, layout 3. I can change my axis. So my x-axis is going to be my temperature and my y-axis is my sales. And then I can change around the values over here or place a title on it as it needs. So we can see from our graph that we've generated again, it does look somewhere between our high positive correlation and our perfect positive correlation, and that our value worked out as 0.96, which also supports that idea.